Hi, I'm Meryl Key. Here's your Astro Dice forecast for December 2023. There's loads of dice spicery this month and you're gonna need it. All the personal planets are blazing through fiery, far-reaching Sagittarius. It makes everything more excitable and antsy, and all this is coming to a peak in the Christmas-New Year break. Yikes. It's a tough one. If you want more details on those transits and the moon phases, watch my What is Happening and Why Astrology videos put out for each month. And if you can, support my channel with a like, a subscribe, a share or a comment. I appreciate all your support. But right now, here's an overview of the planetary action for December 2023. The new moon at 20 degrees Sagittarius is on December the 13th, and same day, Mercury turns retrograde and will stay retrograde until January the 2nd. We've got solstice on the 22nd, the peak point in the southern hemisphere for the sun's rays. We have midsummer. And in the northern hemisphere, you've got the peak time of the moon's power, midwinter. The full moon's on the 27th of December, and it's a crunchy one, 4 degrees Cancer. Sun's in Sag and moves into Capricorn with the solstice on the 22nd. Mercury moves into Capricorn on December 1, but turns retrograde on the 13th. It'll move backwards into Sagittarius on the 23rd. Venus is in Libra and moves into Scorpio on the 4th. And then on the 29th, it'll move into Sag. Mars is in Sagittarius, being very fiery. Jupiter is retrograde in Taurus, turning forward on the last day of the year, December 31. Saturn's in Pisces. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces. December 7, it turns forward. Pluto's in Capricorn. Chiron's retrograde in Aries, turning forward with the full moon on the 27th. And the nodes are in North Node Aries, South Node Libra. The aspect to watch is that full moon on the 27th. There's a real build-up with Mars and retrograde Mercury. And the whole of that Christmas week, it's a bit of a minefield. Accidents, arguments, confusion is waiting to happen. Let's get into your individual signs now with a bit of the dice spice to give advice. Starting with Aries. Aries, your ruler Mars is running flat stick through Sagittarius, and all that fire and passion ignites your enthusiasm. But watch you don't overdo it. The temperature is really hot. Opinions are loud and accidents can happen. So what can the dice do to help you with that? You have Gemini, North Node, and the 9th house. Aries, Gemini is all about the conversations, the communication, the solutions, and also your siblings. And 9th house brings people and knowledge and different cultures into your space. So one thing it looks like is you've got communication maybe with siblings from far away, news from overseas, or you yourself are looking at travelling and moving into a different sphere. The North Node here makes it compulsive. You feel like you've really got to do this. But I'd like you to consider that you don't have to do this in a physical way. You could have this conversation or this adoption of a new culture, new ideas, new knowledge through travel of the mind. And Gemini rules the mind, so it's actually not a bad option. And I think with the current planetary setup, Mercury's looking at changing all your travel plans anyway. So find a solution in an energetic or an imaginative or even a long distance phone call, something like that, something over the ether. It becomes an important turning point for you. The North Node pushes you on the path of what your spirit wants, and that's why it can be sometimes compulsive. It's like a little engine that releases what's in the exhaust and that propels it forward. Gemini says there's been a lot on your mind. So as you release that anxiety, you'll open up to a much broader vision. You're at risk with the Sagittarian enthusiasm, so do watch out for accidents, things dropping from a height, and getting tangled up in your arms and legs, because they're the sorts of things that Gemini in the 9th house would like to do. Good luck. Taurus, you have some prickly problems, trying to adapt to others' needs and changing plans. You're not great at switching gears mid-flow. So how can the dice help you to cut a path? You have Capricorn, the 11th house, and Mercury. If we put this with the transits, Mercury turns retrograde in Capricorn. So the first 23 days of December is probably what we're looking at here. The 11th house puts you in the place of groups and the community, of having your hopes and wishes met. And Taurus, you've had Jupiter in your sign retrograde for the last 4 months, and that puts real pressure on your finances. So there's some renegotiation you can do. It might be with a community group, it might be through online advice, or it might be something where you've got like a consortium or a group of other people where you're all going for an aim. Because there's a negotiation you can have here in these first 23 days, even though Mercury is retrograde, that can address a work issue or your finances, the role you play, the responsibilities you have. It might also be a way to negotiate delegating and giving other people responsibilities. This could also point to prickly situations when you are in a group or having to organise something for a group, because we know these guys are going to be unpredictable all month. Another thing might be about the way you remember things were officially given, officially said, what was agreed upon, and you might find that other people got it a completely different way. Go back and check over the official details, the official documentation, particularly if it's around money or work. Gemini, Sag can set you off with a million ideas and nowhere to go. Your goals can get muddied and feel out of reach, so you tend to give up or get into a grass is greener thing. The retrograde is trying to plug you back into your purpose and push you back on track. So how can the dice help with that? You have Saturn, Pisces, and the 8th house. Well, this is about letting go. Saturn is in Pisces, and that's uncomfortable for a Gemini because it can make you feel criticized or bring up rebellion or any problem with authority that you have. And for some of you, you may feel there's too many restrictions or not enough guidance. So December in the 8th house, you're really ready to look deeper at what that's about. Because all this Mars energy is happening in Sag, your opposite sign, you're going to feel like there's a bit of attack coming on you. And the 8th house says there's something you really have to face with this. There's an opportunity here to change a structure or find a rebirth through your spirituality. Even though the 8th house makes you feel like you're going to lose it all. This is about restructure rather than annihilation. And you might have to let go of a dream to adjust to new conditions. If you've been a bit Piscean about something and let something dissolve or disappear, if you've surrendered, if you haven't been real, December is the time you get that wake-up call, or you get the resilience and the strength to face what you need. Some part of you has been living in a bit of an illusion, but this month, if you face the reality and deal with it, you'll get a rebirth. Cancer, you've got the full moon in your sign on the 27th, and you might feel like hiding in your shell and just being close to home. And that's not a bad thing for December 2023. So let's see what the dice can say. You have Libra, the 7th house, and Jupiter. Well, this is a really good time to stay close to home because it looks like a really nice relationship. Libra is at home in the 7th house, and Jupiter, wherever it is, gives you luck and expansion. So I'm wondering if that full moon brings you closer to the ones you love and even brings someone with a big, boisterous energy into your personal relationships. This can mean good news for someone that you care about. It could mean a happy announcement. It can mean taking a relationship to the next level. With the full moon in your sign and it being Cancer, This could be about you moving in with a partner or them moving in with you. Good news in the family, or even sorting out something in your past relationship that needed a good agreement, that needed a bit of a boost and a bit of support. I'm really encouraged by this read for you, Cancer, because it's such a tricky month, but this is just a blessed read. Lie low where you can, stay out of arguments, and enjoy some new friends, old friends, and your significant others, making the best of a tough time. Leo, you're on fire this month. All that Sag energy has you wanting to be everywhere at once. So watch out with those planetary urges that can change plans and ruffle feathers. You might find you're in the midst of it. How can the dice help you? You have Scorpio, 8th house, and Mercury. Leo, there's a bit of a warning in this one for you. Scorpio in the 8th house is at home, but it's the place of death and rebirth. Mercury's one of the big features this month since it turns retrograde. And so this takes you back on a little journey through some of the deep, vulnerable places, the places that have been hidden and buried, the parts of you that have been split off that want to be resurrected, that want a bit more life put into them. But also I think you have to be really careful with your words this month, because there's a lot of power in the way you're expressing yourself, in your tone, in what's said and what's not said. But the 8th house says something is becoming final. If you use the power of your words without thinking, you may bring about a finality you didn't want. If you use your words for healing and for kindness and for strength, and face your own vulnerability behind it, then the 8th house can give you a rebirth, open a new level of maturity, a deeper psychological understanding. And I think, Leo, that's what you really need this month. There may be a meaningful relationship with a sibling or a neighbour. There may be something just off the cuff that catches your eye, but cuts in deep and hits home. There's also the possibility here that a really meaningful conversation can happen that allows you to express a really vulnerable part. And if there's a possibility of opening up to someone that can hold that space for you, Leo, I encourage you to go there, because there's something transformative and quite deep that you want to get off your chest. Virgo, all this Sag energy is too big-minded for you and skips too many details. So you'll be tested in this retrograde phase despite your best efforts to keep everything ordered and in line. So how can the dice help you with what might be a messy situation? You have Mars, you have the 8th house, and you have Gemini. Well, Virgo, this kind of puts you in the middle of those difficult conversations that are going to be brewing up over the month, where hurt feelings and what's been under the surface get sprayed out. Now, if you have frustrations, you need to work them out of your Gemini bits, your arms and your legs and your expression. Do some exercise. Write in your journal. Get things off your chest in an internal way before you put it out there in the world. Mars wants to take action, and it's through the mind, through your words, your communication and your movement. You want to move. But the 8th house is the place of endings and beginnings. It's where you have to go into deep transformation mode and surrender something so that you can move forward. It's like you've got to make an offering when you're in the 8th house. So there's something you can't get around. Your movement feels really blocked with this, and there's a lot on your mind. So what I'm going to do for you, I'm just going to re-throw the planet dice to see what is the best advice for you, because you're frustrated, you want to move forward, you want to speak it, you're afraid to speak it, and what you do express can have quite a big consequence. So I'll re-throw this planet dice just to get a clarifier for you. Jupiter. Okay. Aim for the best. Aim for mutually beneficial. have faith and hope that any changes that you make now, any boundaries that you have to protect, are going to make it better in the future. At the moment, you're looking at the future not being any good. But Jupiter says, have faith and hope. Things are getting better. Libra, Venus has been in your sign for a month, but it leaves on December the 4th. And you're ready to quieten down and focus a bit more on yourself. And that's a good thing, because it's all a bit cray-cray out there, and it's going to be really hard to maintain a balance. How can the dice help? You have the Sun, you have the 7th house, and you have Leo. Well, excellent. This is time to look after yourself. The most important relationship you're going to have with anyone this month is the one with you. And here it's asking you to pamper yourself. Have a bit of a splurge. Do what you enjoy. Get playful. 7th house is your home territory, the place of Libran relationships, where you seek balance and connection with others so you can learn about yourself. And the Sun says absolutely focus on yourself. And happily, Leo here wants you to have fun with that. Get creative. Spend some time in December being around people that foster your confidence, the ones where you walk away feeling energized rather than drained. The spotlight's on you and it's for the right reasons. And you soak that up and use that to enjoy who you are. Celebrate it. Scorpio, Venus is in your sign from the 4th. And with Neptune turning forward on that day, you have extra magical and magnetic ability. But with that comes some sloppy boundaries and an urgency to act on impulse. And that's not really like you. But that's the thing about December. You're breaking new ground, Scorp, and stepping into an unknown. What can the dice say for you? You have Venus, Aries, and the 11th. Venus is the goddess of love and relationships. And when she's in Aries, she's fascinating and fickle and in for the chase. The 11th house there talks about your friendships, your community, wider networks, and even your hopes and aspirations. Because Venus is in your sign for most of the month, Scorp. This looks like you're attracting new romances, new friendships, someone's on the chase, or you're attracted to someone or something that's more adventurous, outdoorsy. You're expanding your horizons in some way. Aries in this climate wants you to take a risk, to try something different. And I think if you go down that path, Venus is going to find a lot of satisfaction in that space. Again, I'll just warn you, Scorp, accidents and security are big issues this month. So Aries being a bit reckless, you still need to have foresight and trust your gut if you're walking into a bit of a viper's nest or leaping off a cliff without the right safety gear. Sagittarius. Everything's going on for you, Sag. All the personal planets trip through your sign this month, and the new moon on the 13th has you looking at what you have and wondering if it's what you want. It's a new cycle with a bit of tweaking that needs before you can really get into it. How can the dice help with that? You have Jupiter, Cancer, and the 9th. See, Saggy, how saggy it is this month. There's your ruler, Jupiter, and the 9th house is the hometown of Sagittarius. So this really has you looking at far distant horizons. The full moon is in Cancer on the 27th. So this might be where we're looking at that peak experience for you over this month. It's a really tough moon, and it also looks at security and boundaries really needing to be tightened up. And I think that's what this dice is saying. Some part of you is sort of far-reaching, looking over to the horizon, but the dice is pulling you down to home. Make sure you've got protection around there. It might be emotional protection you need, or it might be protection because Cancer rules the mother and the family. The protection you need around your family or protecting your mother. This is a very positive read for you because it's giving you all the strength and resources you already have in abundance. And Cancer is a rulership sign. It's you taking the lead. You might even be shifting what you call home in that vision. Although you've got a new moon in your sign, which traditionally means, launch forward. This new moon is not the time to do that. And I think this is a really nice read for you to get your vision into a nice little seed. And that's Cancer, and it's also the solstice, where the seed of the moon becomes the full actualization of the sun 6 months later. Set some goals about where you want to be, what you call home, and what you need for personal safety. Good on you, Sag. Capricorn, the new moon in Cancer is pressing your buttons, and you may be expecting more than can be delivered at the moment. Mercury's retrograde in your sign until the 23rd, so those first 3 weeks is where you can make adjustments and renegotiate the stress points. Just don't sign off on anything till next year, because that Mercury retrograde will slow things and make it disappear. Renegotiate, hold off, do your research. Let's see what the dice can say. You have Neptune, the 11th, and Leo. Okay, so Neptune is the planet of dissolving illusion and also creating imagination and fantasy and a spiritual connection. The 11th house is the place where you go out into the community and you're looking for like-minded others. So you might be looking for a spiritual connection with other people. Or you might be at the point where you're dissolving a connection with some group, or dissolving a prominent position that you have, because Leo would say you've got a prominent position in this group. It would also say this could be a creative experience where you're putting your creativity out on show for other people. The 11th house can grant your wishes. It can show the outcome of your aspirations. And perhaps with Neptune there and Leo there where it expects a lot, this could really be about those expectations not quite being met, or where there's an unexpected place of generosity or goodwill that makes up for some disappointment. So you're really encouraged here to look at the bright side, to be generous and use good humour. It could be a case, Capricorn, where you feel sidelined by someone else's big personality and you feel like maybe you disappear in the group. Basically just someone else is hogging all the air. Sag energy would say to that, try to look up, see the big picture, try to rise above it. Withdraw into your own imagination and your own dreams. And you don't need to follow other people's dreams of vision or status or recognition to actualize your own. Aquarius, December has you sliding into nostalgia, ancient history, and impatience for the new to begin. But slow down, let things evolve, and give time for others to see what you can see, because they're not going to get there as fast as you. How can the dice help? You have the 7th house, Pluto, and Sagittarius. This is pretty intense, Aquarius. 7th house is about your relationships and finding balance with what you give, what you receive, the person you are when you're independent and the person you are when you're connected with others. Pluto there says it gets really intense. And Sagittarius is where the action is, causing a lot of clashes, a lot of difference of opinion, and some very loud position taking. So I'd have to warn you, Aquarius, that there may be a relationship that just goes too far, that has reached a natural end point, that needs to transform. Now, if this is an intimate relationship, it may have been long distance and you're ready to call a line in it, or bring it in so that you can both be in the same place at the same time. It could also be a relationship where you've drifted apart, where your values and your beliefs are different. It could be you looking at relationships where one or both of you has been avoidant or more interested in the chase than the commitment. Pluto is drawing a line and asking you to commit to what you really need for intimacy. It's going to bring up your fears and it's going to bring up a bit of family stuff. I'd be really careful around Christmas with this because Sagittarius and Pluto is also about excess and addiction, shooting your mouth off. So if you're prone to that sort of thing, put some limits on yourself or look at your relationship with that addictive or excessive part of you. Maybe now is the time you want to end it. Maybe now is the time you want to transform it. Whatever it is for your Aqua, Sag Pluto 7th is saying you want more meaning, purpose and direction in your closest relationships. And Pluto isn't going to take no for an answer. So be brave, take control and step back out of drama. Pisces, you've got a lot in common with Sagittarius. But the Sagittarius unbridled enthusiasm can feel a bit insensitive to you. It can rattle you and take things too far. So let's see if fire and water can make some steam and bubbles. You have the second house, the sun. Oh, that was the sun. And Pisces. Okay. There's your sun in Pisces. And it's talking about the second house, your resources, what you think is yours, what you think you need to possess, and what natural skills you've got there available for you. Your best resource right now is yourself. So self-reliance is a thing for you this month. It might be time that you have to put something in place that's more flexible, or you might be ready to use some of your resources to enjoy yourself. Some of your resources are your creativity and your imagination, and the way you can pull people to you to help you out with what you need. There's something here about that two-way street of what you give out and what comes back, how that tide works. For some of you, it might be where you're supporting a friend or someone else in need. I'd also have to say, because of the security issues and the poor boundaries all through December, you need to be really sharp, not careless, not flaky, not fishy, about your security at home and your possessions and where you leave things. Because although there's support here, and I want that support to be your own mindfulness, Pisces can be a bit carefree with its resources. And I don't really want your resources walking out the door for you this month. Don't compare yourself to others and don't be manipulated into giving anything you don't want to give away. Saturn in Pisces is changing the structures around you, and you might be looking at new personal values that give you a better boundary. Thanks for watching the Astro Dice, and I'll be back again with another one next month. I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. Check the other vids on my channel or find me on Instagram at my_mystery school or on my website www.merylkey.com. See you next time.